think. I believe I'm back. I think I'm back. Hopefully I'm back. It appears I'm back. And where was I here? Yeah, we were looking at the sternocleidomastoid relative to the malleolus muscles. I think I know what I did. I didn't get disconnected by YouTube. It was I was trying to make this window smaller. And I think I accidentally clicked on stop streaming. So that's probably what happened. Anyhow, so we're back, and we were looking at these muscles connecting directly to the larynx that are going straight through or under most of these neck muscles. So then if you're worried about having too much tension in your neck and that this could somehow interfere with your voice, it only can insofar as it will interfere with your head rotation, your head retraction, protraction, etc. Your basic mobility. So what's key is just regular old mobility. How well can you move your neck? As Kane was saying earlier, issues with, well, he wasn't talking about neck mobility, postural issues, and those postural issues will be vocal problems if the vocal techniques you want to use rely on some head rotation or managing the shape of the ribs, for instance, and managing the shape of the ribs relative to the neck. All of that takes work and skill, and you have to coordinate it, and you'll need some strength for those. So that's why I really recommend weightlifting, and maybe doing it with a technique mindset, really look after how you use your body. But don't worry too much about your voice being so fragile. And if you are going to be really concerned about specific body parts and how they relate to your voice, then worry about those body parts that are directly connected to your voice. So yes, your neck is, but not in the sense that Lucas was saying. Your neck is directly connected to your voice in the sense that the spine is directly connected to the pharyngeal raphe and to a lot of these pharyngeal constrictors back here that are going along the spine. So when you reshape the spine, you're going to be reshaping the vocal tract. The other really crucial thing to think about, let me see if I can pull away. Well, we can see the torso. Whoops. Has a connection at the top of the chest there. That's a lot like these omohyoideus muscles, but it's coming from the front, from the sternum. And that's also going to the front of this hyoid bone, which, see, if it lets me select it. Oh, I know how to do it. So there we go. There's our hyoid bone. That's the one I was talking about that's at the top of the larynx. And this is the one that you can feel background music. Sorry, how's that? I can't hear the background music at all on my end. This software is not super great today. It's not my day. It's like Russian roulette, you know. Yeah, which title did I give it this? I was trying to work as fast as I could, so I don't know what I called it. Oh, yeah. Well, whatever. It's Mr. Opera Live. I just reused the last. I had to work fast, so yeah. Let me tell you what it's like trying to manage this. Like, I'm trying to produce a show, but I'm also trying to do the show, so I have to think of what to say. And then that's already enough for one brain, you know, but yeah, Nikolai Primark, thank you very much for telling me that the background music was too loud. Yeah, so yeah, this is incredibly complicated. Anyway, there's our hyoid bone. That's the thing that's at the top of your larynx. If I bring back, oh jeez, nay, like this. Okay, if I bring everything back here, and let me take away, if I can, these muscles that are on top. Let's take away, yes, there we go. So what I want to show from this is that the really important thing is not muscle tension. It's, can you control this, the scapula? Can you move your scapula well? If you can move your scapula well, you have control over the omohyoideus muscles. That's connected directly to your voice. Your neck muscles are not connected directly to your voice, other than the fact that, like, okay, your omohyoideus muscles pass through your sternocleidomastoideus muscles. And that's a pretty important thing. And if you're just showing up now, sorry about the title. I got disconnected, had to come back as quick as I could. So we're here under a different title. But the important thing is we're here. I'll re-upload this or something, and whatever. So if you're just joining, then go back, or you can head to This Is Opera, the channel This Is Opera. And probably the whole thing will be there uninterrupted. So head over there to This Is Opera, like, subscribe. It's live now over there, and no shenanigans. And maybe somebody could write that in the chat. That would be really helpful, so that yeah. So, where were we? What I was trying to say is that what's important is how well can you control where these muscles attach. The omohyoideus, which attaches to the scapula, and then because there's also attachment in the front to the sternum, we're also talking about the ribs in general. So the scapula and the ribs. And it just so happens that if you want to get good at controlling your scapula, you have to be good at controlling your ribs, and if you want to get good at controlling your ribs, you have to control your scapula anyway. Those are muscles directly connected to the voice. Those are the muscles you should be thinking about, but those are the ones everyone is taking for granted when they go to the gym. Oh, you can just do push-ups. I read in a book, when I was coming up, there was a book, I can't remember the name of the author, but it was like How to Work Out or something like that for singers. Claudia something. And she was saying, yeah, it doesn't matter if you do bench press, it's not connected to your voice. It doesn't matter if you do shoulder stuff, it's not connected to your voice, but be careful of sit-ups or whatever. Be careful. I forget what it was. We're worried about neck tension because that's connected to the voice, and we're worried about this and that. But what I would say is, instead of thinking in terms of muscles, think in terms of your bones. Think in terms of your posture. And if you don't have mobility of your chest and your ribs and your scapula, which a lot of people don't, then you should be working on that and not worried about releasing anything, because you got nothing to release probably. Okay, so I thought we should show a bright spot. So along with this business about how to work out, there's the question of do you work out your
Lucas.
voice? Or
Hello.
do you kind of take it easy, and are we supposed to relax and release in order to have a healthy sound? In order to, like, especially if you're talking all day or whatever. And I'm always annoyed because doctors tend to really suck. The speech pathologists tend to suck. They tend to tell people, speak quietly, and don't just take it easy, try not to be in loud places or whatever, don't raise your voice. Ingo Titze was telling people to sing into a straw, and then he's like, well, you'll see it at the end of this live stream. He's like, he did a presentation on how the straw is supposed to help your voice be clear and stuff. And he's like struggling through the presentation because he's doing straw exercises and then trying to do public speaking. And it's like, that's dumb. That's not an exercise that's going to help you do public speaking. That's an exercise to help you sing alto in the choir. Sorry. And it makes no sense, and therefore Ingo Titze is like dying in the video. Like, you can hear his voice is all rough. He's like clearing his throat, looking uncomfortable. And the one time his voice actually sounds good is when he demonstrates how not to do it. So it always makes me just go, and I never expect these people to say anything good. But then I saw this. A friend told me to go check this out. And I went and checked this out. And I was so happy that I did. So let's watch some of this. I'm going to take away this school stuff for a minute. Okay.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Bastian of Laryngopedia and Bastian Voice Institute.
Okay, so
our topic is...
that's good credentials. I'm going to take this away. Bastian Voice Institute, and the channel this to go to for this is Laryngopedia. I'll put that in. I'll put this in the chat as well. And this guy's giving really important information, and there's other really good information. Like, he's got a test on there for inflammation where you just do this pretty easy test that he shows you, and you'll be able to give yourself a score for how much vocal inflammation you have, that you currently have. And again, if you're just arriving, head over to This Is Opera, because I had another one of my technical blunders, of course, and so I disconnected the stream here and had to reconnect. It's a mess. Okay, so
muscles, general idea of muscles,
Okay,
and
I'm
more
just going to back up. And my complaint was about these relax and release things. And it's about Lucas Meacham, for instance, telling us that everything along the lines of relax and release, and so therefore we even have to worry about our neck when we're working out to try to make it tired. We're supposed to worry about not making our neck tense for some reason. And the implication actually is that you should go around your whole life not tensing your neck, actually, if you sing. If you think about it, like, if you're not even using neck tension in the gym, like, when are you using neck tension, right? So never. And he's basically saying you should go through your whole life without neck tension. And then it's like, well, why did you grow these muscles that make neck tension? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Bastian of Laryngopedia and Bastian Voice Institute. Our topic is muscles, general idea of muscles, and more specifically, vocal muscle. Well, how in general do you keep muscles strong? Everyone knows you have muscles, and more specifically, vocal muscle. Well, how in general do you keep muscles strong? Everyone knows it's by using them. You do some sort of...
So we're not going to watch the whole video. I want you to go over there because I don't want to get in trouble. I guess we can. But this is a totally different way of thinking about things, right? Now, this is a doctor, and he's saying, think about people who lift weights and people who don't lift weights. Well, you know, the people who lift weights are stronger. So this is now going to imply, if you want your voice to be stronger, you gotta make it tired somehow. Like you're gonna have to stress your voice. If we're thinking along the lines of a workout, weightlifting workout, that works with stress and recovery. It doesn't work with therapy model. You're not trying to recover from an injury. You're not trying to baby yourself or make yourself less stressed. You're trying to stress yourself a certain amount, not too much, but not too little, so that you get some kind of change. That's not the usual model. So this is really interesting. I need a different button. I'm just going to go true. Wow. Oh, jeez. I guess the count is for the video as a whole? No, I'm confused how my bullshit counter really works. What's the logic? I'm just going to reset it. Okay.
It's by using them. You do some sort of exercise regimen, or you use them in the course of your daily life.
Make your muscles strong by using them.
Rise to the challenge and become able to do what you ask them to do repeatedly. Well, think about three sort of typical kinds of people and their muscles. Think of the bodybuilder who goes almost every day
and now he goes through different types of muscle users. I don't want to watch the whole video because go over there to watch it. Because the important thing is going to be here. But anyway, he's talking about how you don't necessarily need to be a bodybuilder. Even just people who do a lot of activity have stronger muscles than people who sit on the couch all day. A waiter has stronger muscles than someone who's sitting at a desk, if you will. And that's great. Because he's going to make a case that you just need to do a little, right? But except, we're the opera singers. So actually, we're good with, you had us at bodybuilder. That's what we want, basically.
This is on the back side, but down deep inside where the vocal cords live, there are muscles as well. And I'll show you using this drawing. You can see here inside the voice box. These are the vocal cords. Here's one and here's the other. and they are made up of muscle. This is the open or breathing position, and when this person produces voice, those vocal cords need to pinch together firmly with those muscles, sufficiently strong to produce a strong voice. If a person has a strong...
Shouldn't be controversial. But if you go and you read, I don't know, what's this, American Vocology, if you read their stuff, and they're also wearing white coats sometimes, maybe a lot of them aren't doctors. Actually, if you think about it, none of them. Well, no. Like Ingo Titsa was sitting on the board of that thing. But he's the one who's telling you to use a straw while he's struggling through his own presentation and doesn't realize that that's crazy, or doesn't want to think about it, or does realize and is just evil. But this guy's in a white coat, and he's not telling us that it's just about resonance. He's telling us it's about that your voice is a muscular system, and if you want to make it stronger, you're gonna have to use that muscular system.
Larynx. That's when those vocal cords are pinched together. Here's an example. You can see that the vocal cords are firm and they come together completely, creating this little dark line between them. By contrast, here's someone with very little vocal cord muscle, and you notice now that there's a large gap between the vocal cords, don't pinch together as well.
So,
and when that happens,
you can do this on purpose. So, for instance, the first one, second one, that's that. But if someone was perpetually stuck in the second one, it sure is a shame that a lot of times they're told, no, you don't need to. It's not going to be about muscle workouts. It's going to be about having the right resonance or something like that. But not this guy. Not this guy. Let's see. And I guess, I mean, he's a doctor. This guy's like a primary source, basically.
Yes,
we could use
within
him
the
as a
laryngeal
secondary
muscles,
source.
the vocal cord muscles and the muscles surrounding,
If he did research,
then the
that
person
research
begins
would be a
to
primary
have
source.
difficulties vocally. They may say, my voice becomes faded as the day wears on. I can't be heard in noisy places. It sounds thin.
Like Ingo Titsa in his presentation on the straw. His voice is all fade. He's getting unintentional vocal fry, etc., etc. This is weak from not practicing the stuff that we're about to see.
And that kind of thing. Why would they have that kind of weak vocal tract? It could be because of introversion and extremely little voice use. It could be due to aging. A person who's 80 or 90 might have weakening, just as they have some weakening of general muscles. They may have some weakening in the larynx. Or think of the person who's been very ill at any age.
What's the first thing? If I want to imitate some old man, I want to be, the first thing I do is get a very high open quotient. Now with this very high open quotient, I sound like an old man, right? But what this is the sound of someone struggling to get the strength to make the sound of the voice. Right, so what you get is these kinds of effects, very high open quotient. And if you think about it, the old man coordination never has metal in the sound, even if you make it loud. There's no metal. Now there's metal in the sound. So those are quite different. So I guess there is possibly a resonance component, because in order to make metal in the voice, I have to do something with the resonance, but it's very close actually to what he's saying. And making that shape is also a muscular act and is limited by how well you can manage the muscles that narrow area of interest number 3. And don't make, if anyone wants me to go over what that is, I can, but I think everyone's cool here today. So that's where you make twang, and that's all connected to the muscles that are bringing your vocal folds together, actually. So just when I closed it now. I closed Blender, but I can open up if anyone's lost with the anatomy. But your vocal folds, as he was showing, we can go here and look at the. We can look at his diagram. There we go. So in his diagram, at the top, the vocal folds are connected to these little cartilages called arytenoid cartilages, and you could think of them as pyramids. And we're looking at them from the top. And we've cut away what's on top of the vocal tract. But what's on top of the vocal tract of the vocal folds of the larynx is this thing called the epilarynx, or the epiglottis. And the muscles he was talking about that pull the arytenoid cartilages together. Now I might just have to open Blender again to show you this. Because the muscles that connect those together, that pull them together, there are 3. One of them is a band that just runs across the arytenoid cartilages. That's called the interarytenoid muscle. And then there are 2 more that make an X shape, the transverse arytenoid muscles. And these transverse arytenoid muscles don't just stop. They go from the base of one arytenoid cartilage to the top of the other. Let me see if I can just pull this up here. So here's my model. And I'll just see if we'll see what happens if I just start pulling away parts, because I don't. Yeah, here we go. So we'll get rid of some stuff here. Let's bring me closer to the thyroid. Here's the thyroid cartilage. Let's get rid of some vertebra. We'll get rid of some pharynx stuff here. It looks like there's doubles of some things. Oh, and that's not great. But now who went and made these transparent? That's not helpful. It's probably me. Ah, jeez. Okay, so I'll have to kind of draw them in, because I put materials on them for some reason that made them transparent. This is the pharyngeal raphe that I was telling you about, by the way, the other day. The spine of the voice. I'm gonna make sure I didn't lose everyone again. Oh, I'm good. I think everyone wandered off, or whatever. Okay. So we have this epilarynx on top, and I'm going to have to draw I'm going to have to actually draw where the muscles we're interested in go, where they are. Because on here, things are just floating around. So I'm going to get rid of this pharyngeal raphe. Bye-bye. Okay. Now, on here, it's just kind of floating. And they're kind of in the wrong place. That's not helpful. But going from here to here, and then also from here to here, is a muscle. There's muscle that starts at the base, wraps around to the top, and then goes up to the epiglottis. And when they're talking about twang, it's this epiglottis on top. That makes it. And then vocal folds are under these, well, they're at the base of these arytenoid cartilages. And the green part is the thyroarytenoid muscle. What you see there, that's green. Okay? So, see if I pull this. Pull some more stuff out here. Oh, and maybe if we use a different view. Oh, that wasn't helpful. Okay, that's a little bit more helpful. Although there's some muscles missing. But in any case, just imagine, imagine, if you will, that the muscles are there. Imagine an X shape in between these arytenoid cartilages. That one and this one, and then that's continuing up to the epiglottis. And now we're okay. So when you're talking about twang, it's not far off from closure, vocal fold closure. I think when most people are talking about vocal fold closure and feeling something, they're also doing the twang, and really they're talking about the twang, and it's the twang that's difficult, although the closure itself can be. Okay, so Nikolai, to have metal in the voice, you need to have short vocal folds. No. I suppose there's a limit. They can't be so stretched out that it's like falsetto. But edge can be in fuller density or in reduced density. So in reduced density is thinner vocal folds. Longer, therefore longer for the same pitch. So in edge, on the same pitch, you could have different vocal fold lengths. The same goes for overdrive. Now, you could also have, in overdrive, for instance, reduced density or fuller density. You could also have reduced metal, reduced metallic. And then to make things a little bit confusing, Complete Vocal Technique has a simplified version in which all of these are called curbing. So depending on which version you got, they might call everything that's reduced density curbing. So yeah, but in the version I use, which is the regular full version, you can have edge with fuller density or reduced density, but in either version, no matter what version you're using, curbing is a metallic mode. So you can have metal with reduced density. And curbing is a reduced density only mode. Whereas edge can be either fuller density or reduced density. Overdrive could be either fuller density or reduced density. I hope that makes sense. The guy, this doctor is going to demonstrate some overdrive, I think.
They are made up of muscle. This is the open or breathing position, and when this person produces voice, those vocal cords need to pinch together firmly with those. If a person has a strong larynx, when those vocal cords are pinched together, here's
the twang is it goes with this pinching. It's not a separate gesture when you use it. You can not use it and still have a lot of closure.
Then the person begins to have difficulties vocally.
Maybe not as much.
They may say, my voice
edge has becomes
faded as the day wears on. I can't be heard in noisy places. It could be due to aging. A person who's 80 or 90 might have weakening, just as they have some weakening of general muscles. They may have some weakening in the larynx. They could also develop that weak, fuzzy, gravelly voice, can't be heard in noisy places with people asking you to repeat all the time.
Especially,
what I want to talk about is
I'll add to that emotional debilitation can be stage anxiety, that your psychological state. So if we're talking about fitness, but then that one, when there's something I call the reduced density hole, where Nikolai, this reduced density thing, lengthened vocal folds but still metallic, that situation starts to happen and seems inescapable, like you can't get out of it. And I call that a reduced density hole, and it seems to go with being distracted by some kind of question having to do with the ego. So when the ego is getting in your way, or in my way anyway, then I might be getting a reduced density hole. And then also, because it has to do with like stretched vocal folds, it's impossible to fix it on the spot. You might need to take 5 or 6 minutes of not singing to let the tissues get back. And if you don't, then it gets worse and worse.
Respond to a weak voice, and I'm assuming, of course, that you've been examined and other conditions have been ruled out. Things like nodules, polyps, various growths, benign and malignant, and neurological disorders. So all of that's been ruled out. You've been told
performance issues. And that's, by the way, something that super duper important to me. So I'm actually teamed up with a psychologist, therapist, for my voice lessons, and if you're interested in that, either in the voice lessons or psychological support services for singers, performers if you're a performer of any kind, actually, and looking for psychological support services, or voice lessons for singing loud classical music, you can write to therealmropera@gmail.com. And then that's a good place to send clips as well that you'd like to see on the show, or ideas about topics you'd like to talk about, etc., etc. Anyway, onwards.
And you need to build it. Well, what would be a do-it-yourself strategy that you could safely apply without oversight? Now, obviously, it's great if you could do this with a speech pathologist, but I'm thinking of people who live 30 miles from the nearest one, or you maybe have to work.
Anyway, if you go to the speech pathologist, a lot of times they're not going to give you this. They're going to give you a freaking straw now. It's terrible. This is going to,
several
you'll see.
weeks to get in and start the process, and this is something you could begin on your own while you wait. The regimen is 3 simple vocal tasks, each done very briefly several times across the day. Each of the 3 tasks needs to be
That's like
done
straight out of Garcia. That's
we
read Garcia on here, and that's how he described what would be your ideal schedule, was this. And it sounds crazy when you read it, but it was this.
Even aggressively. You're not going to do vocal tasks like this little pink barbell, but you're going to do something more aggressive, more effortful, like this one. And just as I can use this barbell to strengthen my arm in different ways, this would be slightly different strengthening task than this. Sort of works a slightly different set of muscles, and maybe this works yet another set of muscles. And so in that sense, we're going to do 3 different vocal tasks to build the voice in different ways. First one is what I call the voice of authority, or the loud, low, angry voice. It's long ago, people found that it was easier to travel on water than on land. It's emphatic and it's loud.
Is not far from the voice that Ingo Titsa demonstrated and said is like, if that happens to you, then go run to your straw. You need to use your straw to get out of it, because but this is pressing. I don't know what else you want to call it.
Loud. And you should have this sense that you're really exerting yourself. The second is what I call the ship ahoy voice. Now you're calling across the street. Ship ahoy! Neighbor, look out!
So overdrive.
You're gonna
Ship ahoy! Neighbor! Hey! You! Hey! Overdrive. And yeah, that's the way to go. If you want to make your voice, so if you're having like constant issues with losing your voice because you're teaching class or whatever, and this is what you should do. And then gradually your voice will get stronger. But I guess if you're already in that situation, it's not so easy, because you're already under a kind of certain amount of strain using other coordinations that you're going to continue to use. And then even though these coordinations that he's showing are much more, they're actually more efficient, but they're going to lead to better results if you can rest and then do these and find some time away from your normal vocalizing. I think I guess that's what I'm saying, that if you don't have the time to recover, you might not be getting the benefits from this. So, but if you're a school teacher, for instance, you could do this all summer, and you come back the next school year, you're going to be a different talker. Or if you're an office worker who just has the occasional presentation, this is no problem.
Neighbor, look out! You're going to step in a hole or something.
I heard a Canadian accent there. Look out. Anyway.
Different, but also loud voice. And the third is simply a siren from lowest possible to highest possible pitch in your voice, like a ooh. On ooh, I usually do ooh.
Okay, so this is more traditional.
And I'm not doing them quite as loudly as I would for fear of...
The previous two were going for kind of edge kind of territory. And then overdrive. The
loud, low, angry voice. It's long ago, people found that it was easier to travel.
I understand long ago, long ago. Nasty. I am standing on the Jordan. Ow. And this nasty sound. If you can make this nasty sound, then it actually feels really light, and you might be tempted now to have a kind of southern accent, because the southern United States accent makes it easier to kind of keep this twangy kind of thing going on. Yeah, and this is real easy on the voice. I suppose that's why people started talking like that. And it's a little harder to have this with a more standard Midwestern accent, I guess. That's true. Hey, this one, you need a little more pressure, right? Yeah, but this is also quite efficient. And if you find yourself in a noisy room, especially needing to look down, this is great. Okay, so, these voices are the basic way to start making bigger sounds. I think it's really that simple. People come and want, some super special exercises. And I guess it's it makes me think of, they come to me, by the way, because they find recordings, old recordings of mine. And in these old recordings, my voice is a lot lighter. Maybe I should pull some out. I'll go find some so we can have them on the show. And now I do kind of more robust things. And they want to know how to do that. And after a while now, and thinking about it, why are they at first I was confused, why would I have a secret why would I have a secret recipe for that? I tell them glottals, do glottals. But why I tell them glottals, because glottals are in Manuel Garcia. Yeah, you'll learn. Just a second. I'll get to your thing. I think the pitch has something to do with why you're asking that. But no, I think he's close to edge with this light kind of nasty thing. Maybe he's not. Someone else could demonstrate it better than him. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. Crap. Oh yeah. So it made me think, though. Now I think about my experience learning to hunt mushrooms. I love going to pick up mushrooms, and I'm good at finding them, and I find tons. But I remember when I first started doing this hobby of looking for mushrooms, and it was a whole lot of not finding mushrooms, just going out in the forest and stuff and not finding mushrooms. And I started to figure, well, you know what? I'm just going to commit to having my feet in my boots, and then my boots in the forest. So I will be spending time looking for mushrooms, right? And then that way I'll get better at it. That's it. And people are spending a lot of time, I think, looking for secrets for how to sing, how to make their voice stronger. And secret number one is not a secret. It's just do more things that make you need a strong voice. So pull out some Wagner scores and check out what happens in the low range when you nobody can hear you because you have no idea how to make a big sound. And maybe if you keep trying, you get it on like one of those vowels. Now you have a different coordination on one of those vowels, and maybe from there you can figure out another vowel, or you can work from there to get stronger at just keeping your freaking vocal folds together. And yeah, there's all of this cool resonance stuff that I keep talking about and anatomy. But the most important thing is just like whatever. Even if you're like him and you're not, like your edge isn't perfect or whatever, just do it. Like just try to make your voice stronger. Just put your feet in the boots and put your boots in the forest. That's yeah. So the question is about and yeah. No, I agree. It's not perfect edge. Could be better edge. The big thing I think is his neck position. If he improved like his head position, but man, when I come on here, it's so much harder to do any demonstrations because just like if I can see myself in the screen, I want to have a weird head position, and everything my brain thinks is supposed to happen with my voice is different from what I expect because of what so that's complicated. But I get the sense of what he's going for, and I think if you do that stuff, if you go for edge, go for overdrive, and then okay, do the neutral stuff that he did at the end if you want as a cool down or whatever, but be going for edge and be going for overdrive in some way, and then be putting those together into classical singing. And then if we're talking about the tenor stuff, then yeah. And I think also when it comes to sopranos, these same timbres are gonna help with versions of neutral that will work with edge and overdrive when you go into the chest. Anyway, so I think that's where I want to leave it tonight. Oh, I wanted to do this. No, I lied. I'm not going to leave it there. So I wanted to do this because this guy is a hero of bullshit for this video. So let's see if this works. But he's a hero of bullshit. Let's go back and hear his name again, because he said his name at the beginning, and so I just want to leave it with that. So we show some respect. And Christopher, wait, I'll look at your questions first. What about androgen injections? I have no idea what that would do. I don't know what androgen is. Yeah. I know, I don't know what androgen is. Interesting, Christopher. So when I was a kid, the high range came pretty easy in neutral. And my voice never really cracked. I remember that. But then it was not low, and I wanted it to be lower. What I didn't notice was that my posture was really changing as I was going through puberty, so that I was becoming much more with my head really forward, right? So I started talking more like this. I was a teenager talking like this, and then I wanted to have. So when I wanted to make more sound, I would raise my voice, and I still have these patterns in my speaking voice, and I developed voiced guys, I guess, because of all that, and then my vocal folds are not super big and like a whatever it is that makes them like a bass, the vocal tract, whatever. So I'm not a low voiced guy, but anyway, I wanted to celebrate this guy. So let's say his name.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Bastian of Laryngopedia and Bastian Voice Institute.
Dr. Robert Bastian. Once again, Dr. Robert Bastian. Oh my god, and that can seem rude. I guess if you haven't been following, and I only did one Heroes of Bullshit, but that doesn't mean that he's a bullshitter. That means that he's like Hercules cleaning up the Augean stables. Augean. Where were those stables? Oh geez. But anyway, there's a scene where Hercules has to clean up a whole bunch of bullshit. It's horse shit, actually, I think. But in my version, it's horse shit. But bullshit. Could be horse shit. Anyway, so he's a hero of cleaning that stuff up. And we very much appreciate it. So, all right. So you guys have a good night. And I will see you next time on Mr. Opera.
The straw.
It's just a straw, right?
It's not just any old straw. We've sized it very particularly, you guys.
So the SWT Straw Pro comes with a minimum of 40 resistance configurations in one device.
And then we have 2 straws that are the exact same size, diameter, and length. And this is so that we have options.
After you've practiced the exercises for maybe 5 minutes,
you'll see here that the vocal cords aren't in sync with each other.
You have to put more work within the body to just get things going because the straw isn't providing you with enough.
It is very important that you let no air escape around the straw between your lips or through your nose.
But the thing is with that, it cuts off the nasal resonance part of singing, which is very important to singing.
It's almost as if you're trying to release it out through the straw to whatever's in front of you.
You will find when you go back to normal speech that your voice seems to be coming out of your eyes instead of your throat.
If you are splashing yourself, you're creating volcanoes, and that is not allowed.
A wise man once said, "There is a sucker born every minute."
No, 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 no. Oh, hell no.
So just grab a straw.
For those of you who talk several hours a day and your voice gets tired, here's a tip to keep you talking. Press your voice like this